Welcome, everyone, to TechAllies, The Conversation, a podcast where we sit down with today's technology leaders for real discussions about the people behind the roles, the work that matters to them, and the impact they're making today. I'm your host, Billy Mitchell, and on today's episode, we go behind the title of Blake Holman, Executive Technology Advisor and Leadership Coach at JJH Enterprises. At TechAllies, we believe in authentic connection, collaboration, and giving back, and today's guest embodies all of that. Blake, welcome. How are you today?
I'm doing great. How about yourself?
Doing awesome. I'm looking forward to this conversation. Trish and Karen speak real highly of you, so I know it's going to be a good one. But just as a reminder for yourself as well as those listening, we break our podcast up into three primary sections. Number one, we want to get to know you, about a little bit about your personal journey. Number two, where you're spending your time today. So what are some of the challenges you're facing or projects you're working on? And then number three, really what this podcast is about or focused on is TechAllies, your partnership with them, what it means to you and some of your experiences behind it. So with that, you ready to get started?
I am. But one comment, though, just so that our audience knows how much
Sure.
I appreciate it, too. I love your haircut.
Thank you. Yes. You know what? The Beautiful Bald Men's Club is alive and well.
Right. Exactly.
That's good. That's good. Well, awesome. Blake, let's go ahead and get to know you first. So if you don't mind, give us a little bit of your background, who you are, where you came from, and what brought you to where you're at.
Okay. I'm one of the few left, a native Dallasite, still living here in the Dallas area. An engineer by education. I started my career in big consulting and found my way into corporate IT back in the early 1990s as a Unix systems programmer. Loved everything technical. I loved programming. I loved automation. Loved solving problems. And then I got interested in leading people. And that journey had many interesting twists and turns through my tenure at Ericsson. And then as I left Ericsson with the big telecom bust, I got into financial services and found my way over to Ryan LLC, the global tax services firm, as their first CIO back in 2005. From there, I've enjoyed a journey as a CIO for 20 years, serving both the tax services business, our industry, the nonprofit healthcare industry, where I worked in Austin for 7 years at St. David's Foundation. And then up until June of last year, I was the CIO and also CAO, Administrative Officer for BBG Real Estate Services, that is in the real estate appraisal and assessment business. I am currently in a role where I am an executive advisor from a technology perspective, but I'm also doing leadership coaching and training and really enjoying the people side of it. Even though I swore for years I was not an HR guy, my HR team kept trying to tell me, no, you're good with people.
That's good. I love that. Yeah, and it sounds like a pretty amazing career. As you think back on what's brought you to where you're at, what do you think are some of the key experiences that really shaped how you lead today? Obviously, working with people is a skill, and a developed skill at that takes time and failures, a lot of those as well. But what's shaped you?
I think the biggest things have been really just my interest in people, my interest in learning more about people. I remember early in my career reading Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
A great one.
It wasn't about manipulation. It was just about how to work better with people. And that shaped me quite a bit. And then about 20 years ago, I had the opportunity to study influence and persuasion with Dr. Robert Cialdini out at Arizona State University. Been a student of his work for the last 20 years. And I often tell people, after studying his work, I understood how I could go into a car dealer with no intention of buying a new car and somehow come out with a new car.
Yep.
Which was, it was fascinating, but it's all around us, right? And then in the last year, I have worked really closely with the John Maxwell leadership team, and really gotten to know a lot more about leadership, and how simply important it is for each one of us in our careers to get the things done that we want to get done it's not just about leading people, it's also about leading ourselves. So a lot of the soft things. I mean, I can learn a programming language 10 ways to Tuesday. I've learned dozens of them. And although just about everything that we are involved in these days revolves around technology, it's still all about the people. So
Yeah.
the people dimensions have been vital.
Yeah, I just had this conversation with my controller the other day about the use of AI, which obviously is a hot topic right now. And his comment to me was how often he gets an email or a document or something from somebody that's clearly just an AI copy and paste. It's a 50-page document, 50-page strategy that they don't know what's in it. And he'll review it, read it, and because he cares, he spends the time on it, and he'll ask about a particular section and they'll be like, oh, I don't know what that is. And he'll say, it's in your document. And their response is, well, let's just get rid of it. And his whole point was, AI is great, but at no point are we going to be able just to not have any human touch on it.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really important thing that we've got to remember moving into this future.
Yeah, I was at a John Maxwell conference August of last year, and I mean, at the time he was 78, he's now 79, and told the audience he's working on 2 new books, and he's using AI to help him write them. There was an AI researcher in the audience, and during the Q&A period, this guy was so excited that John Maxwell was using AI. He gets up to the microphone, and he's like, oh, you said you were using AI. How are you using AI? And John kind of paused for a second. He looked and scanned the audience, and he said, AI is going to make lazy people lazier and smart people smarter. And you could almost hear this gasp in the audience as he said that. And then he said, let me explain. And he went on to say that basically the people who use the AI tools to get the answer are the lazy people getting lazier. The people who will use the AI tools to establish the starting point for their work, the beginning of their work, those are the smart people that are going to get smarter. They're using it as a research tool or a draft mechanism to which they can then apply the human element and end up with better outcomes. And I couldn't agree more with that kind of a perspective. And if you look today at how, all the AI is going to make all these jobs extinct. Well, maybe jobs as we've known them. But let's embrace it and let's redefine the jobs. We're smart people. We can figure it out. And so anyway.
That's good.
We'll add on there.
I really like that. I'm actually going to steal it and use it at my companies.
Please do.
Thank you. Given that we're talking about the importance of people and relationship and obviously in partnership with technology, when you think about the people you lead or have led, and inevitably just by the nature of life, people come, people go. What do you hope that somebody who's working with you or has worked with you experiences or takes away from the time that you guys had together?
I would say lessons in leadership. Hopefully good lessons in leadership. I think we've all had those bosses where we had an experience where we learned how not to manage or lead people. I'm hoping that I'm not that. But ultimately, I think there's so much fulfillment in seeing someone that I've had the chance to work with who's worked on my team go on and become their own C-level executive. I can think of a half a dozen or so folks that I've worked with that are now amongst my peer group, and that's incredibly satisfying to see that. And I don't know that I was necessarily the reason for that, but I'd like to think that I at least contributed to it somewhere along the way. And so really it's, how do I help people grow? How do I help people get better? At this stage in my career, I'm very interested in a pay it forward mentality. I've been blessed throughout my career to learn from some of the best, and, may some of them rest in peace. They're not with us anymore, and I can never, ever repay them or even thank them, nowadays. So the best I can do is really pay it forward and share the gifts that I've accumulated along the way.
I love that. I like to think of myself as a developer of people as well. And I resonate with that. I hope that people leave the time that they had with me better than when they started. And that's irregardless of, the reason that we're departing, whether it's friendly or, sometimes unfriendly. I really do want people to grow in our time together. I think that's really important.
Yep.
It's good. Well, transitioning to what you're currently focused on, and maybe even recent history as well. I know St. David's is an important piece still, I believe, in your career and life. So right now, where are you spending most of your time? What are some of the things you're working on or building, or challenges maybe you're facing that you're trying to navigate? And why does that matter to you at this moment?
So I would say I'm spending my effort in two main areas, and one of those is fractional and interim CIO services. Folks where they've kind of got I need help kind of moment, and I had two organizations that I helped out last fall. There's some folks that I'm talking to right now. I want to make sure that I add value. Don't want to just turn the crank. Don't want to just be a butt in a seat. I want to make sure that there's value add along the way. And I've found that there's an opportunity to be really, really accretive to them, given the background and experience that I've got, particularly in small to medium sized organizations. Bringing a larger perspective to a smaller scale. The other area I'm working on is really leadership workshops and helping to really address some of the people development gaps that I see in our workplace today. I think we'd all agree that many, many organizations, if not most, do a poor job of preparing people for leadership opportunities. You see it countless times where that great individual contributor gets promoted into a manager role and then suddenly they don't perform well. Why? Well, that's just not their skill set. It has to be developed just like that individual contributor. And that's true of management and leadership, which are two different disciplines. So right now, I've got an executive presence workshop that I am fixing to launch in a pilot mode, and I've got a workshop around change fatigue that I believe that many organizations' change failures are not necessarily because people are change resistant, but rather they are tired of change. And how can an organization really recharge their people around change and start creating momentum rather than just wallowing in the fatigue? So those are two areas where I've got a significant amount of investment in time to help organizations, and I'm sure there's going to be more coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really interested in the change fatigue. Recently, my organization went through some pretty large adjustments, some changes. And when you say change fatigue, I just immediately resonated with that. I was like, man, I am tired right now. I'm ready for the waters just to settle rather, which it is, which is good. But that change fatigue, change is tiresome.
It is. Well, and it's interesting because change management gurus have a word or have a phrase they call change saturation. I was in a conversation with this lady once about it, and she was using the term change saturation. I was using change fatigue, and I'm like, I don't think it's saturation. I think people have the capability for change, but they're tired, and it's got to be meaningful to them. And so the way I approach this is one of making sure people are clear about what it is we're doing and why. Because I believe that, first off, people are oftentimes motivated by what's in it for them, the old WIFM thing, right?
WIFM, yep.
And as my good friend Mike Anderson, who may be one of the folks in the pipeline for this podcast, a quote that he says regularly: people don't mind change when they feel like they're winning. So if you think about the people side of it, then how can we establish clarity? How can we create wins? And how can we tie it to a bigger picture strategy or really future of an organization to get people energized and on the train of change momentum rather than just being beat down by it. And so I've gotten a lot of positive feedback. I've got a little framework that I call Clarify, Win, Connect. Pretty simple, right?
Sure.
And it's, how do you lean into that and flip the script?
That's good. I love that. Yeah. Sounds like you and I are going to have conversations here in the near future. And I'm looking forward to it.
Anytime.
Love it. Well, as a bit of a transition into TechAllies and your involvement there, as you know, and our audience is learning, TechAllies is really built around that idea of opening doors for others, right? A big component is the networking and community, as well as investing into the future tech leaders of the U.S. And really that comes through opening doors, right? So when you think about your early career, who are some of the people or experiences that you had of people who opened the doors for you and really helped shape what got you here?
Oh, wow. We're going to dig deep in the memory banks on this one.
Yep. It's a good one for sure.
I would say, very, very early career, there's a few people, one of whom was my father. He was a college professor at SMU, and a colleague of his named Dick Bywaters. Dick Bywaters had a consulting engineering firm where I had the opportunity to intern for a couple of summers, learned some great lessons about problem solving and thoroughness in one's work. There was a colleague at Dick Bywaters' office. His name was Dave Baker, and unfortunately, neither my dad, Dave, or Dick are with us anymore. But Dave Baker was one of those really grumpy engineering types that really challenged you. But he was also at the same time nurturing, kind of like a grandpa, right? So I learned a lot from him that I think shaped how I approached thoroughness in my work, again, around solving problems and making sure that things were well thought out. When I worked at Anderson Consulting, I had a boss, Greg Dennis, who I would draft things, a written paper or memo or something. He would want to review them, and he might as well have taken a red highlighter to them. He was an engineering major, but he was the most meticulous about the English language and writing. And so I learned a lot of great lessons from him. There were a number of folks that I worked with and for at Ericsson Telecom that were very, very supportive, and I would say persistent, and kind of tapped into an element of personal pride for getting something done that you would say you would do. Lars Stadig was our department manager. I had this project, and I didn't really have a due date, so I was working on it. He popped in my office one day. Hey, did you get that done yet? I'm like, no, Lars, I'm working on it. 2 days later, did you get that done yet? About the third time he's popping in my office asking if it's done, I'm like, okay, Lars really wants this done. So it was an important lesson for me in terms of set and manage expectations.
Sure.
And then just countless lessons from there. I think Brent Ryan, who was our CEO at Ryan Tech Services, very, very high standards, very, very high expectations, and that was a world of learnings, not just about technical things, but client service and quality and preciseness in communication, but also the importance of, hey, if you're going to sign a contract or an agreement, read the darn thing. And if it doesn't make sense to you, push back. It's all negotiable. So just vital lessons that I've learned throughout my career. And I mean, there's countless other people that I could list out as well.
That's good. That brings up a lot of memories, actually. And interestingly for me, my dad, who recently passed away, it has taken, it's okay. It all happens. But I now have been, in reflection, been thinking about those lessons that he's taught me. And I think something that you put there, in my own words, if being able to sign your name to something, right? Are you proud to sign your name to that project?
Yeah.
And if not, then do it again, and I think that's a really interesting way for me, and something I'm teaching to my boys is, hey, you did this thing. Are you proud of it? Would you sign your name to it?
Yeah. Well, the same holds true in today's AI world.
Sure.
That's what I tell people. Use the tool, but your name's going to be on it. So make
Yeah.
sure that what you're sending onward represents the completeness of your voice.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching our conversation today. We want to take a moment to recognize one of our partners that has made this possible. At TechAllies, everything we do is centered around relationships, connecting the right people, fostering meaningful conversations, and creating opportunities for collaboration and growth. Whether it's helping companies find talent, supporting new initiatives, or building strategic partnerships, strong communication is always at the core. That's why we're excited to partner with Zoom. Zoom is an all-in-one AI-first communications and collaboration platform that empowers people to connect and get work done from anywhere. With reliable video meetings, chat, phone, and contact center capabilities, all integrated into a unified workplace platform, Zoom makes it easy for organizations to streamline communication and enhance productivity. We're grateful for Zoom's partnership with TechAllies and their support of this podcast. Now let's get back to Billy and our incredible guest as they continue their conversation.
That's good. I love that. Well, obviously that's was intended to bring us towards TechAllies, and I think it was an incredible lesson in history for who you are, where you came from. And speaking of change fatigue, I'm sure our audience is going to start to get story fatigue, because I always like to tell how I got involved with TechAllies, and as a way of introducing how you got involved. And I'm sure you know Alan, and my very first experience was an event at his house, and I was pretty nervous going into it, and recognized very quickly that those who were attending that event genuinely cared about me, my family, who I was, where I was from, all before the work side of things. And I saw that going around that entire place. And it was a lot of fun, sharing drinks, sharing food, sharing stories, learning about, really these very successful people at very incredible organizations. But just seeing them in this light. And I saw something there, and I was thinking, man, we've got to spotlight this. And that's where this podcast originated from. And so for our audience, what is TechAllies to you? What does it represent to you? How did you get involved? And I guess also, why are you involved?
So a little reach back in history there too. My first involvement with the TechAllies family and Karen was, I think, in 2012 or 13, with the very first technology ball.
Yep.
And it was a relatively small affair. A guy named Andrew Jackson had kind of, I would say, brought me into the fold, got to know Karen, and bought into the mission of, lending our credentials as technology executives to help build up the community and ultimately benefit STEM education and things like that. What happened along the way was developing some phenomenal relationships that have endured the test of time. I've been known to do a few crazy things at Tech Ball, like wear a kilt and spearhead efforts for Scotch and bourbon tastings and stuff like that. Not too crazy, but sure. It's the opportunity to connect, grow, and give back. Those are three things that are really, really important to me. When I went to Austin to work at St. David's Foundation, I tried to stay connected, was not terribly successful. And then when I came back from Austin, I got kind of really involved in the Dallas SIM chapter. I just finished up my tenure as president the last 2 years. And now with a little bit of additional capacity, I've gotten re-engaged with Karen through TechAllies. And I'm just super, super excited to be involved with her and Tricia and reconnect with the network of folks and support the mission. So I'm really excited about that and look forward to what the future has to hold.
Yeah. One thing that's consistent across everybody's answer here is the relationships And oftentimes it moves very quickly into friendships and, sharing life together. When you think of communities like TechAllies, how do they compare to other networking or, groups like this as well? And I guess maybe I already said it, maybe you already said it, but what makes it different?
Really, it's the relationships. I can go network anywhere, right? There's a certain amount of networking that is, shaking hands and kissing babies, almost like a politician.
Yeah.
But I think even you said it. It's the fact that people care about you. There's the genuine interest in, your background, your family, what's going on in your life, and things like that. That's relationship, not just a connection, right?
Yeah.
So I would say that's probably the big thing, and then the second biggest thing is really the opportunity to give back.
Yeah.
And pay it forward. It's an avenue for doing that, and not all organizations offer that.
Yeah.
I can go to a BNI meeting. I can go once a week, and it may be great and fulfilling from a business transaction standpoint, but I don't I don't see it being the same as a TechAllies opportunity.
Yeah, I agree. I love that. And for those who are listening, maybe they're earlier in their career, and they're just trying to figure out what's best for them, what the next step is, how do I do something? What's one piece of advice you would offer them that maybe you wish somebody would have told you earlier in your career?
Only one?
You can have as many as you want.
Well, I think the most relevant now, there is a mindset that I've had that I really struggled to put a phrase to. And I heard it recently through someone in the John Maxwell organization. And that was seek to serve. When you join a group of people, seek to serve, because that is going to be the fastest path to developing relationships that will endure the long term. So, you join a group, don't come in thinking about what you get out of it. Think about what you can give to it. And when you think in those terms, that will build the strength and the continuity and the durability for the long haul, regardless of what organization it is you're joining. In this case, it's TechAllies. So, anybody that's listening, join up, find opportunities to invest and make a difference, and you'll get paid back many, many times over.
That's good. I love that. I appreciate that, Blake. I have really enjoyed getting to know you in the conversation here. Something I like to do to bring the podcast recording to an end is a little bit of a lightning round. Can ask you a few questions. Yep. Get ready, buckle up. But no, they're easy. They're fun questions and just a good way to get to know you. So, number one, coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Coffee. Love it. What's a book, podcast, or resource that's really influenced you the most?
Dr. Robert Cialdini's Influence and Persuasion.
That's a good one. I'm going to check it out. What's a bucket list item you've already checked off?
South African hunting safari.
Ooh, sign me up. That sounds wonderful. What's a goal you're still chasing?
Boy, that's a good one. Well, this is supposed to be lightning, but I'm living in a spirit of continuous improvement, and so I'm always looking at ways to get better. And I don't know that I want to live to be 100 like my grandmother did, but
that's a long time.
I don't. I don't have a good answer to that one.
Not a problem. That's a good answer in and of itself. So I'll take that one. Right. And finally, in one sentence, what does TechAllies represent to you?
TechAllies is a phenomenal group of friends and colleagues that I know I can count on to support me and whom I can support.
I love it. Well, Blake, I really do appreciate this. Thanks for all that you've shared. And really am looking forward to the feedback that everybody's going to have for this one. I'm sure it's going to be great. If our listeners want to connect with you, what's one of the best ways to reach you?
Honestly, connect with me on LinkedIn or email blake.k.holman@gmail.com.
It's perfect. I love it. Thank you. And for everybody else, this has been a conversation with Blake Holman, a TechAllies podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to follow along and continue the conversation with the TechAllies community. I'm Billy Mitchell, and I'll see you next time.